Welcome to Module 6, Digital Photography. In this session, we will touch on the history of digital photography and explore the aspects of digital images with the goal of helping you understand how best to care for your digital images. Digital photography came about earlier than most people realize, in 1975. A young engineer with Eastman Kodak named Stephen Sasson developed and built the first self-contained portable digital camera for this well-known American camera company. His device was patented in 1978. However, Kodak never built commercial copies of this camera, preferring to stick with its established film products. Kodak's next major patent, also by Sasson and with Robert Hills, came in 1991 under the application title Electronic Still Camera Utilizing Image Compression and Digital Storage. Once again, Kodak opted not to produce the camera. The 1990s were a flurry of activity, with various other photographic companies trying their hands at digital cameras for the general consumer. Models started with low resolution and high prices, but quickly improved in quality. By the end of the decade, certain digital camera models were relatively affordable. At the turn of the millennium, the general consumer began to prefer digital photography over film. And so it went for the next 2 decades until today practically everyone carries a digital camera in their pocket, the one built into your cell phone. Archivists, historians, and genealogists of the future will be dealing primarily with digital photographic images rather than print, or what we call analog. What are the characteristics of a digital photograph, and how are such images best stored? At the basic level, a digital photograph is composed of a series of zeros and ones, lengthy strings of binary code that are bits of information that a computer translates into a visual image for the human observer. A typical colored digital image is coded with a series of 8-character strings where all zeros is black and all ones is white. Digital cameras capture images as tiny squares of information called pixels. For a color image, each pixel is assigned 30 colors on the red, green, blue scale, RGB. There are 255 colors in total for each spectrum in a standard RGB file. Thus, a computer sees 3 bits for each pixel, as illustrated on the right. Your software can translate these bits into a visual image. All of these bits and pixels add up to a visual photograph that is called a born digital image. That is, the image was created inside a digital camera as opposed to a print photograph that was digitized on a flatbed scanner. Born digital images are usually stored on a memory card, also known as an SD card. Downloading the images from an SD card can be done either by connecting a cable directly from your camera to your computer's USB port, or by popping the SD card into a reader with a USB adapter on the end, such as the one pictured here. In the case of cell phones, those images are captured on your phone's built-in memory storage and not a separate removable memory stick. To download cell phone images directly to your computer, use a data cable. After downloading your photographs, you will see that your camera assigned file names to each image. Typically, the file name includes the date taken, which is very helpful. After each image name is a period followed by what is called the file extension. The file extension is the format or type of your digital image. Formats can be lossy or lossless. As the name implies, a lossy image has lost some information that could have otherwise been captured. This happens because the file is compressed in order to save storage space. Take a look at these 4 images. The first 2 of the green books were taken simultaneously in 2 formats, a lossless CR2 file and a lossy JPEG file. See the difference in the file sizes? The same goes for the 2 images of the pipe. The CR2 files are nearly 4 times as large as their JPEG counterparts. Here is another way to look at the difference between lossy files and lossless. At first glance, these photos look identical. The one on the left is the JPEG and the one on the right is the CR2 RAW file. If we zoom in 2 times, there's still not much of a difference. Same with 4 times. Once we hit 8 times zoom, the differences start to emerge. The JPEG on the left is starting to look a little fuzzier than the RAW file on the right. Let's do 16 times now. How about 32? At 32 times the original, the differences are readily apparent. We can see here that the RAW file is sharper than the JPEG. That is because the RAW file is uncompressed and contains more information than the JPEG. Most older cell phone cameras took JPEGs and that's it. Now, however, the vast majority of smartphones allow the user to select a RAW format instead of or in addition to JPEG. Standalone digital cameras pretty much always come with RAW options. Depending on your wants and needs, either a lossy file or a lossless file may be for you. Format becomes very important when thinking in terms of longevity. JPEGs are great for social media and sharing in the short term. RAW files are recommended for serious photographers and those interested in maintaining their digital photographs over a long period of time. Let's shift to digital scans made from analog photographs. If you scan a print photograph, negative, or slide, you are creating a derivative copy. Derivatives are imitations. They cannot contain more information than an original. However, creating a digital copy of your print photographs can be beneficial for several reasons. They can be easily stored. They're easy to share. They can be manipulated to bring out light, contrast, color, etc. How can you bring out the best in your analog photo with a digital scan? There are certain tips that can do you good in the long run. Since we just spoke about format for born digital images, let's do the same with digital scans. Once again, there are lossy and lossless formats. For making a digital scan, the most common lossy format is JPEG, and the most common lossless is TIFF. Next, you will need to set your scanner's resolution. The resolution is an amount of detail you want to capture in the scan. The higher the resolution, the more detail you'll get. For printed out photographs, your original analog copy, resolution can be defined as dpi, or dots per inch, as seen here in this close-up. Digital resolutions are indicated with ppi, or pixels per inch. You can see there are similarities, yet dots are dots and can vary slightly in size. Pixels will always be represented in tiny, equally sized squares. Ideally, you want a high-resolution, lossless file, but the honest statement is, it depends. Do you intend to publish the image, share it with your family, post it online, store it for permanent retention? Publication standards are usually a minimum of a 300 ppi TIFF, but that varies too, depending on the resolution of the original source photograph and its size. Is it a small 35mm slide? If so, you may want to scan it as 1200 ppi. Is it an 8x10? 300 is probably okay then. One other item to note about digital photographs is they contain more information than just the bits that compose the visual image. Born digital photographs in particular contain metadata describing when the photograph was taken, the camera settings, the photo's resolution, format and dimension in pixels, and more. If you take a photograph with your cell phone, it may even know where the picture was taken. This photograph of a box turtle has a lot of metadata, some entered by the photographer during the editing process, the rest recorded automatically by his camera. We will discuss metadata at length in the next module. For both born digital photographs and derivative digital photographs, it is important to consider the best storage media. Most people are used to saving their digital images to a computer hard drive, to a portable USB drive, a CD, or DVD. Let's take a look at these. The worst medium you can keep your photographs on is an SD card. SD cards were never meant to store items long term. If you take an SD card out of your camera, copy the pictures to your computer, then put the SD card back into your camera without deleting the first image set, any subsequent images you may take can get messed up because new files overwrite the old ones and the bits of information could get intermingled. So, big tip when using SD cards. Take your pictures, download them to your computer, then clear out the card, reformat it, and then take your next batch of pictures. CDs and DVDs are what are referred to as optical media. These discs have on average a 5-year lifespan. Remember the bits of information that compose a digital image? Certain media tend to lose bits over time, which damages or corrupts your photo, sometimes to the point where it can no longer be viewed at all. This phenomenon is referred to as bit rot. USB drives have double the lifespan of optical media. Moreover, they were built to be frequently accessed and manipulated, unlike the SD card. USBs can have information added and removed relatively easily. They are a good, inexpensive option for storing your photos. Currently, the best option for long-term storage of digital photographs is a hard drive. Hard drives can be internal, something built into your desktop computer, for example, or external, something you plug into a computer. They can be regular hard drives called HDDs or solid-state drives called SSDs. Solid-state drives are number one. They don't have spinning or moving parts, prone to breakage, and are faster than HDDs. In other words, they are true to their name, solid. Solid-state drives are built into most off-the-shelf computers now, and external ones are readily available on the market for home or professional use. They have the added plus of being capable of storing terabytes of data. You may feel as if your cell phone and digital camera are overflowing with photographs. Compared to single-shoot film or glass plate cameras of the past, photographers today have an ease of production that leads to multiple photographs of a person, place, or thing, perhaps even on a daily basis. Fortunately, the storage media can handle this abundance of images. Perhaps unfortunately for the photographer, though, organizing a plethora of digital images can be overwhelming. Take your time. Make a plan. Try weeding out unwanted photos first. The good thing about digital images is, as we mentioned earlier, that they come with built-in information. Even if you have forgotten when or where a photograph was taken, your photo may be able to tell you. Finally, be sure to make backup copies of your digital images. We strongly suggest storing a second copy in a different location than the first. Technology changes constantly and rapidly. Who knows? In the future, we may have completely different file formats and storage options. But for now, questions may be directed to Missouri State Archives staff here. We will continue the discussion of photograph preservation in the next module, Metadata and Sharing.